Hey, YouTube folks. A little late getting on there this morning. A little bit tied up in a Palantir trade that I just took and made some money on. But good morning. Good morning, Amazon. How are you? Palantir, coming back down toward the VWAP. SPY still drifting down. Hey, Heaven, good morning. Sorry, a little late getting started here with the YouTube. I got had a little trade in Palantir. I was trading. I just took profits in that just a minute ago. That's the only trade so far today. Watching the market with a gap up to a new all-time high and now pulling back. Inflation numbers were good. We've got some more inflation numbers tomorrow, and we got the Fed next week. Markets gapped up to a new all-time high. Here's a new all-time high in the SPY, 654.55. Q's also made a new all-time high today. Right on the open, by the way, 583.77. Since then, it's been very choppy. Palantir, I'm out of. Took profits here, right here on this move up. It's gone to yellow here in the momentum, so not touching it long again right now. Amazon red across the board here. Again, UNH that we're in. I'm waiting to see if it gets above the VWAP. Some folks weren't able to get into it, my suggestion was to wait until it gets above the VWAP today and then confirms above the VWAP, which it has not done yet. Amazon, you still have some hope for the NVIDIA straddle works out. Yeah, Oracle's the move today is right. Oracle with a ridiculous move for a big cap stock. 42% on Oracle. And the earnings weren't great, but the guidance was massive. And that's what this thing is moving on. You're in the NVIDIA straddle. Yeah, it's I don't know which strikes are or anything, but it is kind of compressing here. You really want to see this thing make a move. It's gapped up today, and it's compressing. So you need to see it come out of that compression, because that's what you're looking at on NVIDIA. Straddles and strangles are you want to see some continued movement. You don't want to see this kind of price action here. It expires Friday, so you got some time on it. Here's the market internals, by the way. They come down hard, and you notice that NVIDIA was holding up very well when the market internals were coming down and the SPY was coming down. Now the market internals is starting to bounce. So I wouldn't be surprised to see NVIDIA get a bounce here, but again, I don't know what your straddle is. 170. So you're straddling at 170. Okay. You get in yesterday? You got it yesterday on that straddle on NVIDIA at 170. You should have had profits today. Okay. Market internal starting to turn up. Still showing red here. Likely to go to a blue pretty soon. Before earnings, you did that straddle on NVIDIA. I have to tell you, on earnings, it's not a good idea to take straddle before earnings. Just when when you're taking, how far out did you straddle that thing? The earnings were on the 27th, so you must have straddled past that Friday. You must have gone out a couple of weeks. Yeah, Oracle's helping NVIDIA move higher. Yes, it is. Thought NVIDIA was heading down before the Oracle news. Maybe, I don't know. When I do straddles and strangles, I only take current week expiration on them. Unless I did one on a Friday afternoon, but generally speaking, I'm only taking current week's move, and I don't do straddles and strangles over earnings, because the premiums on the options when you go into earnings season, when you go into earnings coming up, the premiums are all jacked up because of implied volatility by the market makers to cover themselves in case the stock makes a bigger move than they expect. So they make them very expensive. So to do straddles or strangles on a stock before earnings, you're fighting a huge, huge problem with the implied volatility jacked up into the premiums. Straddle expires on the 26th, yeah. Again, with a 170 straddle and the stock's trading at $8 higher than that, that would appear to be a pretty good price. But again, I don't do straddles that go out that far. I only do them for 1 week. They expire current Friday. I never do them over earnings, ever. You pay too much for the puts and calls. All right, SPY trying to move up a little bit here. Market internals, as I said, now is moved up to blue. Not much direction in this market at all this morning. Again, I did take Palantir, took a day trade in Palantir, and made some about not much, but I get in at 11.40, get out at $12, so $60 a contract. Very small trade. Amazon still coming in. Trade desk got hit pretty hard today, and the cruise lines are taking a pretty good hit today. Oil gapped up, moved up a little bit, kind of moving sideways now. Again, UNH, which we're in, it's starting to pop above the VWAP. Again, if it stays above the VWAP and confirms above the VWAP and you haven't got into the trade yet, I think it's a decent trade to get into. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Amazon. Again, I would tell you, from a standpoint of strategies that are profitable, taking strangles and straddles before earnings that expire after earnings is not a good idea, because you're going to be paying too much for the premium on these things. It's just it's very, very risky. Again, it's not a trade that if you do over and over and over again, you're gonna make consistent money on it. Try to do them before, when you don't have earnings in the way. Look for stocks that have big volume for the day, that they've got some pretty large price action, and that you can get into the straddle or the strangle. You need to be able to get in for less than what the ATR is on the stock, less than the average true range in the stock, by as much as possible. Okay, that's again, I have a video on all of those things. If you're in my room, you get to see all those videos, but that's how I would recommend that. I have very good success with straddles and strangles, but it's very specific, just like it is on weekly ATMs, just like it is on time spreads. Very specific, taking profits on how to enter those trades, what criteria there needs to be. Okay. Appreciate the information, Amazon. I hope I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just trying to help a little bit. SPY still coming down. Market internal is getting very choppy now. Q's also down below the VWAP. Again, I'm out of Palantir. His Oracle is still moving sideways here. All right. Let's see if we have any questions here. Nice exit on Palantir. Yeah, you know, I exited Palantir because I don't like the market. The market to me right now is got a bearish tinge to it. So I don't want to be in any longs, especially technical longs that are depending on the technical analysis to do it without having any kind of support from the multi-day momentum, multi-time frame momentum on the SPY super system. Jacob, Vert up over 10% today. Yeah, nice move in VRT. Up 10%. It's up about 9% right now. Gapped up, starting to pull back a little bit.
Reuters says EU is unlikely to tariff India, China at Trump's request.
Sarang, you got into UNH for 875 on that pop above the VWAP. Good job. Good job. I think it's a good trade. I mean, we never know if they're going to work until they do or they don't. But I like UNH, and I like your ad there at 875. Again, because we paid $12.80 for it. So yeah, you guys get in about $4 cheaper. I think that's nice.
Coming from San Francisco Chronicle says your San Francisco DoorDash order could soon be delivered by drone.
UNH popping up. I added some UNH to my position, by the way, on this confirmation above the VWAP. I just added some more to my UNH long. So I added to UNH. I've got I doubled my position size on UNH.
On DASH, following that headline in the news desk, see a little volume pop on the name DASH.
So again, I did add to my UNH position. I added some more calls. UNH credit spread 340, 337 for 60 cents. When expiration on that, Terry? This week? 340, 337.50. Yeah, listen, it's when you're inside the gap like that and doing a 340, you're obviously hoping it's going to hold today's low in the middle of that candle. That's I mean, you're getting 60 cents, which is pretty good, but to me, that's too much risk for expiring in 2 days. That's just my opinion. You know, you can do on UNH if you wanted to. You can do a put credit spread expiring next week, right on the 19th, a 330, 327.50. So if you did a 330, 327.50 on UNH for credit spread, you're down here, but right near the top and bottom of that candle right there. Right, that is 327. So 330 is outside of the gap. So if it stays in the gap through next Friday, on that particular position, you can take a 330, 327 put credit spread. It's 54 cents right now, which is fine for a $2.50 spread. That's 25%, a little bit more than 25%. I think that would be more prudent, to tell you the truth. You're getting almost the same premium that you got for this week's, and you're quite a bit further away. You just got more time on it.
On TOP, top financial, seeing volume highs. Also comments earlier by Zero Hedge. It says once in every year, top financial goes berserk. This appears to be one of those times. TOP up over 100%. No headlines.
UNH moving up here now. I'm going to add it to my position as it confirmed above the VWAP that I put on there. Yesterday I added to that. Repeat the strikes, Gary, on UNH. Sure. 330. This is next week's put credit spread. All right, the 330. Oops. Sell the 330 puts, buy the 327 puts. Yeah, I don't think I can get as much for that as I thought I was going to be able to get. Still 52 cents. I did take some put credit spreads on UNH. Next week's 330 puts and 327.50 puts. I get filled at $52 a contract, $52 credit on the UNH put credit spread. I don't want to put that out here because I don't want to put too much in one trade. So we've already got quite a bit into that one already. But I like the UNH put credit spread, 330, 327.50 for next week.
On HIMS, a tweet out there by the CEO following up from a morning PR we're talking on another category starting today where HIMS is in testosterone care with compounded personalized treatments available on our platform. More color on that. And then
Harry, FBIO, the PDUFA ran up to
HIMS
for 9:30. Looks like it's making a move up again. FBIO. Yeah, we had some folks in the room take that on some of your talks before. Yeah, it is trying to move back up again. It does have some resistance here. Right where it went to before, you can see the 384 right there. Resistance on FBIO. Again, on UNH, I added to my calls today, and I took a put credit spread, 330, 327.50. Again, what I'm trading is I'm expecting, who knows, I'm expecting it to stay inside this gap up through next Friday, which is when I did my credit spread. And if the stock moves up, I'll do fine on my calls. And if the stock moves up today to around 350, 352, I'll probably just take the credit spread off and take the profits on it because it'll be fairly significant. But the credit spread expires next week. It's a 330, 327.50 credit spread. Okay, so we're watching UNH grind up. Again, I added to it. You can't straddle Oracle either after earnings because the calls and puts are so expensive. Yeah, you have to watch and see when you can get in. The ATR is going to jump way up today on Oracle, right? So you kind of look at what the ATR was prior to today on Oracle. The ATR on today has jumped up to about $18. Yesterday it was about 8 or 9. So you'd want to be trying to get into any kind of a straddle or strangle you did on Oracle for under $8. $7.25, $7, $6.75, something like that. Going to be hard to do that. You missed it. Was the RA in my sticky note? I don't know which one you mean. I haven't. I have the only RA I've got here on was on UNH. I added a credit spread to it, but again, I'm not going to post that because I don't want the traders, because some of the traders, we're trading with small accounts. I don't want to put too much into just one position. Like I added some UNH today to the position, so I've got a bigger position, and I have a credit spread on it. But it's not something I want to post. But I did mention it that I'm doing a 330, 327.50 put credit spread expiring next week, and I got $52 a contract credit on that trade, which is slightly above 25% return. William says my magic dust is working on Amazon PNW. Can I poke LNTH? Yeah, LNTH is this is just turning into a bad trade. It's just not performing the way that I expected it to based on the technicals. And right now, if it closes where it is right now, it's right inside the gap. It's got to stay inside this gap today. Any close below about 52.60 on LNTH, I'm just going to take it off. If there's any premium left in it, I haven't looked at it. I don't know that there's even any premium left. Hey, Suzanne. Good morning. What did I miss? Well, let's see. I took Palantir, and I'm in and out of Palantir this morning. I just day traded it for a little profit. I took it in 11.40. I get out of $12. I added to my UNH position when it confirmed above the VWAP here. I added to it, and I just did a put credit spread on UNH. Now, I'm not posting the add-on or the credit spread because we've already got a fairly large position in UNH. So I don't want to overdo any one position. I don't want too many eggs in one basket for the members. But I did point out that I added to UNH, and I got same calls, and I get in for I think about $10 for the second batch, and then I did a put credit spread, the 330, 327.50. Expiring next Friday, and I got a $52 credit. Suni, you're down 522 on UNH, and you're adding to the position. Yes, I am. Remkumar, would I recommend holding LNTH if I close the options if you're just holding stock? Watch the gap on it. If it stays right near the bottom of the gap, it doesn't break down. Um, then I would stay in it if you have stock. Yes. Sergio, you're in H trying to buy the 330. No, you sell the 330 and buy the 327.50. It's a credit spread, Sergio, a credit spread. Sell the 330 puts and buy the 327 puts, 327.50 puts for next week. A credit spread. You should be getting a credit on the trade. Suni, we're down on UNH. Why am I adding to the position? Well, let's take a look at it. All right, let's take a look at the daily chart on UNH. So why am I adding to the position? Let me get this chart up over here. TC2000 is slowing down here for me. Okay, all right, so here's UNH. Here's this gap fill, all right? See this big move up on this big volume. See what it's doing today? We're down money because we're down a little bit from where it went yesterday, but you see where we are? Setting up a doji sandwich setup. We're inside this gap. Gap has got room all the way up to here. This is a bullish setup. This is a very bullish setup. So I'm taking advantage to get into it, add to it, based on what it did on the 5-minute chart, which was come down hard this morning, below the VWAP, confirmed above the VWAP. I took an additional position right there and did the put credit spread right there. That's why I added to it. I'm getting in cheaper. I get in for $10, which was $2.80 cheaper than my original entry, and yet the daily chart on this stock is very bullish. So I'm taking advantage of that. Okay. You don't. There's times you add to positions. You can add to positions when you're up money on them if the technicals tell you, and you can add to positions when you're down money on them if the technicals tell you that. Right? I don't just add just because it's cheaper. I add because the technical setup on it is strong, and it pulled back, and I'm taking advantage of the pullback to add to it. Okay, Sunil, I hope that helps clears it up a little bit. Yeah, listen, it's technicals on UNH. This is a nice trade. Is it going to work? Who knows? We don't know if it's going to work, but right now it's moving up. The one I added to was I added to UNH at around $10, I think. Yeah, again at 10, it's up to 10.75, and moving in our direction. And again, the credit spread I get in for a $52 credit. It's right at $52 credit right now. That's next week's put credit spread. Tesla's come out of a breakout here above its algo lines right here today. Again, it's been in a terrible choppy position here for 2-3 months. Chop, but it is breaking above this algo line. That's significant. It broke above it and failed, came right back to the 347.03. This is a pretty nice setup right now. I'd like to see the volume a little higher, but this is a decent setup in Tesla for a long, actually, with 358 above and then 364 above. It's got to hold above those algo lines today. But you can see it's kind of wedging in there right now. It's broken through the wedge.
Members, keep in mind today afternoon on Fox, AMD's CEO will be speaking at 3 p.m.
Oh, what does RA mean? On the sticky note, anything that's an R is the room. Anything that's RA is posted in the room and alerted on. I send alerts out. I don't send alerts out on every trade for several different reasons, but I won't go into all the details. If they're going to be too quick or if they're too taken late in the day. But anything that's an RA means I posted it in the room. We're taking it in the room. I also send alerts out to the folks on the alert service for that trade. So they're in this UNH as well, which I added to today, and I put a put credit spread on it as well. Turn that red. Okay. UNH with a pullback there. Coming right back toward the VWAP. Lulu going red again today. CMG, we talked about this one. This was called out in the room a few days ago for potential short. Beautiful short on CMG. Here's the chart on CMG. I didn't take it, but that's a nice short in CMG right there. And Lulu is a decent short as well. Holding below the horizontal support level right there. There's a SPY right back up above the VWAP again. Looking at the market internals right now, they've bounced up after that big shock pull down. Right now they're showing some bullishness, as you can see right there, showing some bullishness. But all in all, this is a very choppy day. Again, I took the Palantir trade this morning, made some money on that. I added to my UNH for next week, and I put a put credit spread on UNH. That's all I've done so far. BSPT, why do I trade through TC2000? I don't trade through TC2000. I use them as a charting program. I trade through Tradier. Tradier is I have zero commissions. I just pay a flat fee, not a fat fee, but a flat fee every month, and I don't have to. I don't pay any commissions. TC2000. If you trade through TC2000, which I would never recommend you do that. It's a great charting program. And it's actually also a good scanning program. But if you trade through them, they go through Interactive Brokers, and then they take Interactive Brokers commission and add a commission on top of the commission. So never do that. That's why I don't trade through TC2000, but I'm showing the charts because I use the chart. Charts. I've been using these charts for years and years. And TC2000, I think, is one of the best charting and scanning programs out there. And then I use the compass system, or the SPY super system over here, to determine my indicators for the institutions being in a trade. These things are excellent directions as what to do with the trade. It's because we're in UNH, so I'm not looking at a 5-minute chart. I'm looking at a daily chart because it's a swing trade. I look here, I see current time frame momentum, multi-time frame momentum, trend. This is all telling me that the institutions are buying UNH, and they have been for a while. Thoughts on Carvana? Well, let's take a look at a daily chart here in TC2000. Carvana's here. Look at it here. That's a 5-minute chart. We look at it today. Let's see what the daily chart looks like. Looks pretty crappy. I mean, it moved up nicely to this resistance level. Now let's pull back to the 8 and 15. Got to hold the 15 to stay bullish at all. All right. And if I look at Carvana on my SPY super system over here, when I'm looking at a 5-minute chart, you can see it's bearish today. Some red right there. We had a little buying here and then red. But if we look at the daily chart for swinging it, what we're going to see is it's bullish across the board. But if you're trying to get into this trade off a 5-minute chart, you're going to wait for this thing to show some bullishness on the 5-minute chart. And likely that if you're going to go long, you definitely want to get in above the VWAP because it's bearish today. It's still bullish on the daily chart because it's holding that 8 and 15 EMAs. About 11, almost 12 o'clock already. All right, couple questions here. Jacob, LNTH, very cheap stock. Would you consider just exercising and then holding? Yeah, you know, I'd have to see some. I don't know what the options are worth right now. They're probably not worth much. And if you're exercising LNTH, you're exercising $55 calls. So you're actually gonna get in at $55. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just let the calls expire, or sell the calls for whatever you get for them, and then buy the stock down here if you like it long? You wouldn't really want to exercise. Prem Kumar, would this be a nice entry for Palantir, with the internals being internals being bullish? Well, the internals have been dropping all over the place. I wouldn't say we're having a trending day here by any stretch of the imagination. So no, I wouldn't be touching Palantir right now. Oh, okay, Sunil, sorry, Sunil. Sunil, is that right? Sunil? I hope that's correct. Sunil, is that correct? I like to try to get the names correct. It's hard, I know, for me. All right. If I do your name wrong again, Sunil, let me know, please. Mayank swing long in GE. Yeah, that's a nice trade. It's right back there. We had a PBO. It's sitting on the 8 right now, riding up. Yeah, nice long on that one. William, TC2000, the best chatting software out there. Yeah, it is. You can have ChatGTP and Grok create scans, and customizing charts is pretty easy. Yeah, the scans are pretty easy. I mean, you can create scans pretty easily. They have a real flexible scanning. You can look for a stock that's above the 50, moves below the 50, and then moves back up above the 50 and does it within 10 days. You can do a lot of nice scans on there. What do I think of SMCI as a long, Simon? SMCI. Oof, let me look. SMCI. Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the chart. I mean, let's look at it technically. See what we got here in TC2000. This algo line is not effective anymore. That needs, if anything, it needs to be moved up here, which is not going to come into play. What does come into play is it's above the 100-day, and you've got the 50-day right here. Right, it's above the 8, above the 15, above the 100. So it's a pretty nice long right here. You know, you're fighting a big downtrend in SMCI, which is bottomed out here right at the 200-day moving average. I mean, look at how it held that 200. So yeah, I don't think a long here on SMCI is bad at all. I think it's probably a pretty good setup. Earnings out at 224. That's a long way off. So yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with SMCI. It's not that I'm going to jump into, but I like it. Let's look at it on the SPY Super System. That's the daily chart we'll look at here. Yeah, the daily chart's not giving you. It would be a technical trade. You don't have current time frame momentum blue here yet. Once this turns blue, you probably could take it. It's going to take a long time for this to turn blue because it took such a beating. So technically, it's a decent long. I wouldn't take it personally, but it's still a decent setup. Here's the SPY on the 5 minute. That's the daily right there on the SPY. See what we're doing here, gap up doji. Just choppy, very choppy market. Amazon, you're trying to understand Lucid. Do you keep the stock or bail when the company does a reverse split? Now the reverse split shouldn't matter. They reprice the options. That's all they do. Um, I don't know if you're in Lucid or out of Lucid. Here's a reverse split right here, and it fell off pretty hard. But I don't think that has anything to do with the reverse split. It just has to do with the stock. It's trying to move up here right now, but again, it's got to get above the 8 and the 15, and then you get some room up here. You're trying to get into a stock that's reversing off of a low. It did put in a hammer bar, nice move here, riding right along the 8, and here's the 15. Now the 8 on my TC2000 has turned white, which means it's now sloping up from being sloping down. But you got to get through this 15. Has to get through the 15 and confirm above the 15. Then you get some room up here to the 50-day moving average on Lucid. Okay, lots of questions today. Lots of questions on stocks. Again, the market's not doing much. This is a good day to try to answer questions, educate, try to do some education on technical analysis using the SPY super system. The market's not doing anything. If you can see what it's done here, we had a gap up to a new all-time high, stayed above the VWAP, fell below the VWAP, and now it's just chopping. Again, all I've done is taken Palantir long and get out of it, took profits in it. I added to my UNH, still like UNH long here, still sitting on the VWAP. And I did a UNH put credit spread for next week. A 330, sold the 330 puts, bought the 327.50 puts for $52 credit. Our AA stock here is trading at 130, 167. This is a weekly ATM. The structure on it is perfect for a weekly ATM. That's why we took it. We're looking for a stock to move that's bullish, neutral to bullish, that spends a lot of time moving sideways. This goes to 32. We'll collect. We collected $134 credit when we sold the 32 calls expiring this Friday. So if it gets close to 32, we'll be able to buy back those puts. I'm sorry, the $32 puts. We'll be able to buy those back really cheap, and then roll them out to next week again. That's how we do weekly ATMs. We just keep rolling the puts week to week, keeping a longer term $30 put out to October to protect our position in case the stock pulls back. It's up nicely right now, by the way. The puts that we sold for 134 right now are trading at 85. So we're up about $50 a contract on those that expire Friday. And the closer it moves to 32, the cheaper those are going to get to buy back. And amazingly, the $30 puts that we bought for October 17th to complete that weekly ATM spread, we paid $1.27. They're at $1.25, even though AA has moved quite a bit higher. So pretty nice setup. I like to do weekly ATMs, but you got to have very specific conditions. We haven't had a lot of them lately because the market has been so choppy, but AA is a good one. The UNH just kind of floundering around the VWAP right now. SPY pulling back down again. Market internals, they're holding up bullish right now. Not tremendously bullish, but slightly bullish. Hey, Sack Lane. You want to ask what's my views on risk management when trading options? Well, I mean, typically when you put a trade on with an option, all the trades I take are what's called defined risk, so that you can't lose any more money than what you put on the trade. I'm not leveraging like you do with futures or anything like that. So my defined risk on that is what I'd be willing to lose on the trade, because it can happen. I mean, you can lose 100% on a news event or something. So you've got to my risk management on them is I only exit the trade for a loss if the technicals have broken down. If my daily chart, which I took the trade on when the daily chart was bullish, as long as the daily chart stays bullish, I'm going to stay in the trade. Now, if the stock price falls below my strike price, which was in the money when I took it, then I got to be a little bit more cautious and perhaps take them off if I get very close to expiration. But other than that, it's all just a technical reasoning as to when I get in and get out. I certainly don't set any kind of stops based on a dollar loss or a percentage loss. Everything is based on technicals. It's a very bad idea to try to take losses based on a percentage loss or a dollar loss, because you're getting in on the technicals and then you're getting out based on your P&L. And if you're using your P&L as a guide as to when you should get in, when you should get out, you're making a big mistake. I hope that helps a little bit. SPY just chopping sideways, very dull market right now. Got a gap up this morning on the lower inflation information, lower inflation number. We got the Fed next week. We have another inflation number tomorrow. There's all kinds of war stuff going on. Russia flew a bunch of drones into Poland. Poland's asking for the NATO countries to support them. Israel attacked Yemen. So, it's a lot of that stuff going on, but none of that stuff has a direct impact on the overall market. The situation with Poland and with Yemen is likely going to affect oil prices. It's probably going to push oil prices up a little bit. So individual sectors can be impacted by those kind of things, but not the overall market. Oh, you're welcome. That game. I appreciate you asking the question. Again, this is our SPY super system right here that tells us whether institutions are in trades or not. You can see we're getting just a bunch of in and out. There's no consensus among the institutions right now to buy or sell a SPY. They're just chopping around. You got a bunch of them in, you got a bunch of them selling, a bunch of them buying. It means nothing. There's no direction to the market at all. So any trade that you take has to be based on the strength in a particular stock. Like I trade Palantir today. It had much good relative strength to the market, took it in, and then I bailed on the thing right up in here somewhere. And just took, I took a small profit. That's what I was expecting to do. And again, I added to my UNH position. I added the calls, and I put a put credit spread on it, looking for it to stay inside the gap for next week. If you haven't seen that trade, here's the daily chart on it right here. On TC2000, you can see it much clearer here because I got the gap defined. Here's the gap fill. Here's what I'm looking for it to do to move in that direction between now and next Friday. Giving me a nice put credit spread and a nice move up. I added to some calls this morning. I bought them yesterday at about, what I paid for them? About $12.75, $12.80, $12.85. And then I added to them today at $10. And because I like the stock bullish. Big volume yesterday, a little bit of just a little bit of profit taking, not an awful lot, just kind of moving sideways. It's a doji sandwich setup. It's called the doji sandwich setup. Big green bar, followed by a doji. If it breaks green tomorrow, you're likely going to get another bar about the same size as this. These are green, by the way. On my TC2000, I color my candlesticks blue for breakout to the upside. In other words, there's a compression break. The Bollinger Bands are expanding. They're pink when the Bollinger Bands are expanding and the stock's moving down. Just so I can identify compression breaks and Bollinger Bands expanding. That way I don't have to put the Bollinger Bands on my chart. Okay, there's UNH bouncing up. SPY just sliding sideways. About 12:15. I'm gonna get some lunch here in about 15 minutes. We'll stop the YouTube feed right at when I go to lunch. Shai, what about ARM holding the gap on the higher day today? Yeah. Looked at that ARM this morning. It's another gap fill trade. It's the first day into the gap. And it's holding that right there. That's a decent long right there. You've got quite a bit of room in ARM. It's in the semiconductors area, so we've got to be. They've been very volatile lately, as you can see, very volatile. But if I look at ARM, I look at NVIDIA. See NVIDIA's gap up here this morning, and AMD also, and AVGO, which is really a pretty strong one here right now, but it's getting a little extended. But I like ARM. Again, I kind of like to see it close inside there for the day. I mean, that's why I took UNH. It closed inside of here yesterday. That's why we took it and continue to hold it. I like to see a second day for confirmation, or at least a close of the first day. Market internals, as we show here, holding up for long. They're very choppy, but they are moving up right now. Not a lot to say here with this market. It just moved up, moved down, just moving sideways right now. Very, very flat. This is all low probability trading environment here right now. Don't really have any market to help you. What we call LPTE, low probability trading environment. In other words, you don't have any market to help you. you've got to lean on the stocks exclusively. I took Palantir. I love the technical setup today on the daily chart. I took it, made some money on it, get out, wait to see what the market does. UNH, again, I'm into next week on these things. I'd like to set up on UNH. I did add to it today, and I put credit spread on it as well. Again, I added to UNH at $10. They're at $10.30 right now.
Members on KLAR IPO is indicated to open around $53 to $54. Keep in mind, KLAR was priced at 40. It's KLAR.
What is the UNH trade, Joe? Well, the original UNH trade was we put on yesterday. Those are the September 19th 340 calls. I added to the September 19th 340 calls today, and I also put a put credit spread on there. Now, I'm not going to post these because it's going to would be too much in one position, but I did a put credit spread expiring next week again, September 19th on UNH. I sold the 330. I'm sorry, I sold the 330 puts, and I bought the 327.50 puts to create a put credit spread between 330 puts and 327.50 puts. The reason for it was basically what I'm doing is I'm liking this gap. I'm thinking UNH is going to fill up here next week, move up that way, and it's going to stay above the gap, which would be about 330. Right, so that's the reasoning behind that trade. Right. There's another trade here that's also a potential strangle, which is Chewy. Chewy had a big move down today on earnings. Pretty big candle. You could do it in this case. You do a 35 call and a 34.50 put. It has just 50-cent ranges on them, so you can do a 35 call, a 34.50 put. It's going to cost about $1.25 to $1.30, which is a little high because the ATR on this thing right now on Chewy is well, it's about $1.85, but that's after this gap down this morning. Before then, it was running around $1.50, so it's just a little bit cheaper than what the previous ATR was. But I think it's a decent. I think that's a decent potential strangle. It'd be a strangle. 35 calls, 34.50 puts for Chewy. Again, non-directional trade. Don't care which way it goes. Just want it to move some. There's a SPY not doing much of anything. UNH just pulled back a little bit, right to the VWAP again. Hey, Amazon, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Joe, do I look at dark pool data? I do not look at dark pool data. I look at market internals, which I was looking at. It's looking at the total amount of volume on stocks moving up minus the total volume on stocks moving down, and looked at that. On that from there. It just turned extremely bearish on the market internals just a minute ago. It's trending down, as you can see right here, and I'm looking at my TT2000 and T2104, which is also market internals, which I can use to kind of see what's likely to happen. Look at this big drop, so you've got to be cautious with longs here. That's a big drop. It's trying to bounce again, but it's been very choppy today. You can see them down and up on that purple and blue line there. Here's the SPY right here. As the SPY is coming down a little bit, this is showing some bearishness. So of course most stocks are going to react with that. Palantir moving down again. I'm out of the Palantir. Amazon trying to bounce up. UNH again shorting down. It's down to the VWAP, but again holding my position on that. I added to it today, and I put a put credit spread on it. Again, it's low probability trading environment here right now. This market's been up and down, up and down, up and down, showing a little bearishness right now. Again, don't have any intraday trades on right now. Just UNH. We have the AA weekly ATM that's trading at 31.50. We have VSAT, which is down today after making a nice move yesterday. Pull back. Nice move yesterday, still pull back, sitting between the 8 and the 15 right now. And LNTH, which is a piece of crap, this thing has been very bearish. It's barely staying inside the gap. So I just have to see if it stays inside this gap. Those all expire next week, except the weekly ATM, which expires Friday on the puts that we sold, and we will likely roll these puts out to next week when we can buy it back this week, hopefully a lot cheaper than what we collected. All right. So there's where we are. Market's heading down. Market internals gotten bearish again. Just Not a great day for trading. Low probability trading day. A little bit of a bearish trend to the market right now, even though the SPY is now up almost 0.4%. So the market is up from the open, but down on the 5-minute chart recently. SPY at 0.22. IWM down 0.17. Been the weakest index for a good long time now. All right, gonna get lunch here in a couple of minutes, and I have to shut down the YouTube feed. Thanks very much, everybody on YouTube, for being here today. I appreciate it. A lot of folks watching today, so I appreciate your watching. If you're interested in any of what we do here, which is this is the SPY super system right here. This indicates how we determine if institutions are in trades or not. This software runs on Thinkorswim. You can buy the software; it'll put it on Thinkorswim. You don't have to trade on Thinkorswim. I don't trade on Thinkorswim. I trade on Tradier. But this will be Brightline would put this right on your TOS platform, which you don't have to pay for. You just download, and you have the same thing as I do. Indicators would look exactly the same. Scans would be exactly the same. Very, very nice piece. This piece of software makes all the difference. We've had tremendous profitability. Tremendous profitability. We had in July we were 30 wins and 3 losses, about 17,000. For 2,000 put into each trade in the room. August we did about 5,900, and in September we've only had 6 closed calls, 6 closed trades so far, all winners. So we typically run between 85 and 90% win rate. Obviously we have losers, same as everybody does, but in the last 2 years I've only had 1 losing month. Last September lost about $1,200 on the service in the room, and about $295 loss on the alerts. Other than that, every month has been green, considerably green. So again, go to rightlinetrading.com and you can get the information on the software as well as access to my room and the alert service. Again, I'm in here every day from market open to market close. I take some time for lunch, which I'm going to do right now. Try to do a lot of education. We talk about an awful lot of trade setups. Try to talk about the market. Make sure we know what the market's doing, because that's critical. Understanding what the market's doing is very, very important in your trades, because if you don't have any help with the market, now you've got to lean on the individual stocks. It reduces the probability of success. Obviously, you don't have a tailwind. It's going to reduce the probability of success. All right. I will shut down the YouTube feed. Thanks so much. Joe, thank you very much. Appreciate being on the YouTube feed today. We'll see everybody tomorrow. I'll be back here tomorrow about 11 o'clock. Starting Monday, I'm going to start doing the YouTube feeds about 11:30, for 11:30 to 12:30 or so. All right. Thanks, YouTube folks. We'll see everybody on Thursday morning. Have a great afternoon.